Hey, what's up, Krishna's little helper? This is my video, what I think about Alex Jones. I uploaded a video, what I think about I made a video, what I think about Alex Jones, but then it mysteriously disappeared off my computer, so I have no idea how that happened. I even named it Alex Jones, so whatever. Start all over. It was a whole hour long, too, so, yeah, after Krishna's little helper told me to do the video, I already knew who he was, and I'd seen a couple of his videos, but then I watched his documentaries. He has like 3 hour-long documentaries, one called FEMA camps about, I guess, the government's trying to make detention camps for people. And then another one, some about the banking, the Federal Reserve, and then another one, I can't remember, but he's a conspiracy theorist of conspiracy theorists. He kind of reminds me of David Icke, only a lot more organized. He has like a radio show and he talks all the time. Now, I love how in his documentaries, he includes actual video of what he's talking about in the government, in the Congress and stuff. And I think somebody should make a video or a channel, and if anybody knows of this channel, I'd like to subscribe, where people just take clips of people saying stupid shit, people in power saying stupid stuff, to self-incriminate them, let people realize that people in the government don't really know what they're doing, and it's just a big bumblefuck. Like, for example, he did do a video, and I'll roll the clip, but it's a video of Congress people were supposed to vote on a bill that, and I don't even remember what it was. It was something about allocating money to a FEMA camp. I don't even remember, but this is like more than a week ago that I saw these videos, so I kind of can't remember that well. They wanted to vote on a bill, and then they added 300 pages to the bill, right? And then they were supposed to vote on it, but nobody had read the extra 300 pages to the bill, because nobody knew where the 300 pages were. They were just said that there was another 300 pages out there. So there's this video of all these politicians going, "Where is the bill? You want us to vote on the bill, but nobody knows where it is." And it was kind of like The Onion. You know, The Onion spoofs of making them look like idiots, the Congress, only this was real. Roll the clip.
There's a bill that ends up on my desk as president. You, the public, will have 5 days to look online and find out what's in it before I sign it, so that you know what your government's doing.
Parliamentary inquiry.
Speaker, in order to try to figure out what we're doing, how much damage to the country, I tried to get a copy of the bill. We have out here on the table 2454 that has 1,090 pages in it, but I've understood since debate in here that there's another 300 pages that were added in the middle of the night. My inquiry is, how do I get a copy of the other 300 pages that people here on the floor hadn't had a chance to read or see? Where do we get that before we cram this down on the American people?
Is there somewhere physically in the House of Representatives a copy of what we're voting on?
The gentleman has not stated a parliamentary inquiry that the chair can answer.
Mr. Speaker, I have to say that I am outraged. Here we are getting ready to vote on a piece of legislation, and we haven't even seen 300 pieces of this legislation. No one can even find the bill or even knows where it's at.
Obama. Timothy Geithner.
A copy of the other 300 mysterious pages that we don't get to see here.
So, pretty ridiculous. And, yeah, and then I guess they use fear and intimidation, well, not fear and intimidation, but fear tactics on trying to get Congress people to vote on bills. Like, if you don't vote for this bill, sky's gonna fall out of the sky and it's all gonna be fucked. Oh no, we gotta vote on the bill. We're all gonna die. Oh. And I can't remember what bill that was. I wish I could. I would put my time into learning the politics, but that's a whole nother world, man. That's like just as figuring out politics. That's like working on my timeline. It's like just as time consuming, and I'm gonna do it after the timeline. Also, I'm going to do a zoology, but yeah, that's a doozy. That's going to take years because it's a big jumblefuck. But they Oh my God, I was going to lead up to another video. Yeah, using the fear tactics. Here, roll the tape. Yeah, you see? Fear tactics. You know? So that's what the kind of people we have in the government. And luckily there's good politicians and stuff in there. But see, this is why I uploaded the video before, film politics. They should film the meetings and all that stuff. And it's funny that they use all this gobbledygook. I can't remember what the word, there's even a word for it. It's like legalese. It's like when they make stuff, they put way too many words into a law so that nobody can actually read it. And even if they do read it, they'll be confused by the time they get to the stuff. Like sometimes people put golden parachute in there. They put like somewhere in between the lines. And also, it says that if you fire me, you have to pay me $50 million a year, you know, and then they sign it, and then they're like, okay, you're fired. And then they're like, you have to pay me $50 a year. No, you don't. Yeah, it's in the contract. Really? Yeah, the 150-page contract. Here, I'll show you. See? And they're like, oh, shoot, we didn't read that. So it's like, it seems like that's what they're trying to do, make all these golden parachute laws. You know, trying to get people to vote on stuff, or else the sky is going to fall, or vote on something that they don't even, they're not even allowed to read, you know. And one of Barack Obama's campaign promises was that you get to pay, the public gets to view something for like, you know, 3 days before Congress is allowed to vote on it and stuff. But of course, well, roll the tape. Yeah, and then he made a promise that he wasn't going to add taxes, and now they're adding taxes. Roll the tape.
Your family earns less than $250,000 a year. If you make less than $250,000 a year, if you are a family making less than $250,000 a year, you will not see your taxes increased a single dime. You will not see your taxes go up. You will not see your taxes increase one single dime. Not your capital gains tax, not your payroll tax, not your income tax, no tax. Not your income tax, not your payroll tax, not your capital gains taxes, not any of your taxes. Not your payroll tax, not your capital gains tax, not your income tax, no tax. Your taxes will not go up, because the last thing you need is higher taxes when we're in a recession like this, and you won't get one under an Obama administration.
I'm not going to raise taxes on anyone making under 250. Is that pledge still active?
We are going to let the process work its way through it.
So it's not. So it's not.
We're going to let the process work its way through it. All right?
And so, oh yeah, and then he made a promise, a campaign promise, that he would get all the troops out within 16 months, and then he increased troops. He took a couple out of, well, he reduced a little bit from Iraq, but then he expanded it a lot in Afghanistan. So in overall, he sent more troops. Roll the tape, if there was a tape. So, yeah, so another thing about, yeah, I think one of this documentaries Alex Jones made about Obama was the Obama Deception. And, yeah, it seems like Obama, he ran a great campaign with the campaign promise of get the troops out of Iraq. Campaign promise of all this extra transparency, but now he's just, it's pretty apparent that he's just another politician, just like all the others. So I agree with Jesse Ventura in that whoever you vote for, just don't vote for a Republican or a Democrat, a Republicrat or a Democrat, because it's just the same party, same people. Yeah, I think we should, and he really likes, Alex Jones really likes Ron Paul, and I really like Ron Paul because he wants to transparentize the Federal Reserve. Federal Reserve is an interesting thing that I'd like to check out, but that's just ridiculous how secretive it is. Like, nobody's allowed to know, even though, you know, they're dealing with all of our tax money. Nobody's allowed to know what they do with that money. Roll the tape.
Got the money.
hundreds and hundreds of banks, any bank or that has access to the U.S. Federal Reserve's discount.
You tell us who they are.
No.
Do you have to be a large, greedy, reckless financial institution to apply for these monies?
There is no subsidy. There is no capital involved. There is no gift involved. It is a collateralized, short-term liquid loan that is both over-collateralized and is recourse to the company itself. We have never lost a penny doing it.
And how can other institutions get those loans as well?
According to the law, we are supposed to be lending to depository institutions.
Let me just say this, Mr. Chairman. I have a hard time understanding how you have put $2.2 trillion at risk without making those names available, those institutions public. And we're going to introduce legislation today, by the way, to demand that you do that. It is unacceptable to me that that goes on.
Yeah, you see? So now Ron Paul's trying to, make it more transparent. And Ron Paul, as you see the tape, he goes, "Yeah, we just want to see what you're doing with the money." And he's like, "Well, Bernanke's like, well, how can we do it? How can we do what we do if you're going to tell us what to do?" And he's like, "But we're not telling you what to do. We just want to see what you're doing." So you can see the kind of communication problems politicians have. Roll the tape.
Do you think it would cause problems for the Fed or for the economy if that legislation was to pass?
My concern about the legislation is that if the GAO is auditing not only the operational aspects of our programs and the details of the programs, but is making judgments about our policy decisions, that would effectively be a takeover of monetary policy by the Congress.
Is that this bill, if it were to be passed, would interfere directly with interest rates, setting interest rates?
If we were to raise interest rates at a meeting and someone in the Congress didn't like that and said, "I want the GAO to audit that decision," wouldn't that be viewed as an interference?
I wouldn't think so. This is just reviewing it, and you can do what you want.
The Federal Reserve was announced earlier today, that there will be a hearing on H.R. 1207, the bill to audit the Federal Reserve Bank. This will be the first independent audit in the Federal Reserve's 96-year history, and it's long overdue. Months ago, I asked the Vice Chairman of the Federal Reserve who received the $1 trillion in funds that the Federal Reserve has handed out to domestic institutions. He said, "I'm not going to tell you." And then more recently, the Chairman of the Federal Reserve, I asked him who receives the $500 billion, we're talking about $500 billion, that the Federal Reserve handed over to foreign central banks. Who did they disseminate that money to? And he said, "I don't know." $500 billion, and he doesn't know. It's long overdue. We need to audit the Federal Reserve, and I'm happy to say that we're going to have a hearing on that very soon.
The proper relationship, what should be the proper relationship between a chairman of the Fed and a president of the United States?
There is no other agency of government which can overrule actions that we take. What the relationships are don't frankly matter.
Yeah, because then they wanted to audit the Federal Reserve, but then they had to vote against it. And roll the tape.
I have another amendment. I have been informed that the majority plans to block consideration of this amendment, which is number 1367, regarding the transparency at the Federal Reserve. Madam President, I'd like to call up Amendment 1367.
Without objection, the clerk will report.
The Senator from South Carolina, Mr. DeMint, proposes amendment number 1367.
Senator from Nebraska.
I make a point of order against the DeMint amendment that it's legislation on appropriations.
Madam President?
The point of order is well taken. The amendment.
I regret the objection.
The amendment falls.
The people began asking themselves.
Yeah, so Federal Reserve's never been audited. And they say that they make money with investments, but if we're in so much debt, it's like why are we, and also why are we in so much debt? We spend so much money. 20% of our taxes go to the military, but we get more and more debt every year. That doesn't make any sense. Like me, I'm paying off my debt. I should run for president just because I managed to pay off my credit card. That'll be my campaign slogan. Vote for Kyle because he paid off his credit card. Now he's going to pay off the credit card of America. Yay! But yeah, dude, we need transparency, man. We need transparency. And also, I think we should start to try to move. Whoops, I'm not supposed to scratch my nose. We should move more into a democracy than a republic, I think. Make stuff, well, at least make those people who are in power more democratically elected. Bernanke is appointed by the president. We should vote. We should vote those guys in. Those money guys in. But anyways, the main thing though is, yeah, I do agree with Alex Jones and I like Alex Jones for that, that our political system is totally fucked, and should get more transparent. And it's interesting how intransparent, and this is all the fault of the people, and I agree with Alex Jones that he calls American people idiots, because I agree. Although I think it's hypocritical of a lot of Alex Jones and all other conspiracy theorists, in that when they like to include their grievances with the government doing wiretapping and then like searching you and saying that you're losing your freedoms because of that, that's what we want to do to the government. So why are we complaining when the government does it to us? And it's also hypocritical of a government to want to be so secretive, but then they stick their noses in other people's business. But I think I think we should try to figure out ways for average normal people to feel like they're empowered and they're actually fighting the secrecy of the government themselves, like you feeling like you're actually doing something. And I feel like I'm making my own individual difference. Everybody keeps looking in my van, like looking at me. Yeah, just by expressing my views, and sharing myself. But I think we should all do that. We should all not worry about people tapping our phones. I mean, I don't care if somebody taps my phone. I have nothing to hide. I don't care if you grab my balls, and especially, if at the airport, I'd love it. I'd actually love it if some, like, you get the female ladies to grab your balls in the airport. That'd be awesome. And like, what else? All that other stuff. It's like, if the American people don't care about secrecy, like they don't care about being secret and they just want to share everything, then it's going to become obvious, and we're not going to withstand for the government to be secretive at all. But it's interesting. I was in Tucson, and there was this girl, Erin something or other, this 28-year-old girl who was running for Congress, and she had I saw the things all over, and her little posters all over the place, and her ads on the radio all the time, and they were saying, vote for a rocket scientist. We need a rocket scientist, because she had a degree in like aerospace engineering from like the University of Tucson or something. And like I researched her a little bit, and then I saw some forums or whatever, and yeah, I guess nobody knows anything about her, and people were complaining about that. And she, and that's kind of how it is. People running for Congress because bunch of people with money go, okay, we like what looks like you agree with us and you'll do what we tell you, so we'll put money all over the place to put your posters up and, pump you as the smart rocket scientists and then get you elected. And it was weird because during this while I was hearing it was right before the elections when I was hearing all the ads on the radio. That girl wasn't even in America. She was in like Iran. And I saw on like her election blog on the webpage, like, oh, it's so important. What's happening in Iran right now? Because I guess they were having like elections there. But it's like, why aren't you in America? People are, what are you doing looking at another country? We've got plenty of problems here. You can help those third world countries by example, not by being secretive. But anyways, those are the kind of people who you get running for president or for office, president and Congress and all that stuff. People you don't know shit about. And they should You know, and I mean, people do like to vote for people who they know, like, you know, like Arnold Schwarzenegger got elected even though he didn't have any experiences because everybody knew who he was, type of a thing. But like, if you're not famous, you can still get elected by people not really knowing anything. I think in the future, people are going to start electing people who people know a lot about just because they share a lot of themselves. I think actually I am a perfect candidate for public office in the future because I express all of my ideas, and I'm into communication and debating and all this kind of stuff. Because a politician shouldn't be like a rocket scientist. You know, those are people who design rockets. A politician shouldn't even be like a business person, even though you manage, you know, a big budget and a lot of people. It's different. A politician, like a president or a congressperson, should be a communicator first and foremost. Somebody who will explain the fuck out of anything and never get tired. And our politicians don't do that. For example, the clip with Gibbs, the spokes guy for Obama. You remember they wanted him to explain, well, what is this, you guys increasing taxes when the campaign promise was not to increase taxes? Roll the tape.
Taxes on everyone making under 250. Is that pledge still active?
We are going to let the process work its way through it.
So it's not. So it's not.
We're going to let the process work its way through it. All right?
And then they asked the guy, yeah, Obama got into a plane and went off to a secret meeting, like, what was that about? And he's like, oh, I don't know nothing, too many meetings, like, what? You should be able to answer that. Roll the tape.
Than one meeting? Is there more than one person with whom? I'm not going to get into all the details of the meetings. I don't know that I've got a ton more different answers for all of your questions.
You should be able to answer that stuff. You know? It's not that hard. You get out your Rolodex, Gibbs. It's like... And, yeah, anyway, when I said film politics, I did mention that we should... yeah, those guys, they should be out there answering questions, like, until the press gets tired. And because that's what a politician needs to be, a communicator. Somebody who, you know exactly what they believe on everything. Every single subject, you know exactly what they believe. Because they have the YouTube video of them talking about it. And they have their website organized in such a way. And that's how my website is organized. When I get around to it, I'm going to explain everything that I believe about everything on all of the issues. For example, in the same way that my First Amendment page is, like that in all the issues. So you don't have to, like, you know, do research to find out what your freaking leaders believe. Go to their website and it has to have it all listed, what they believe, and they made it, and there's the video of them saying it about everything. And then you vote for the people who represent who we all want to lead them. But how are you going to vote for the person who's like you if you don't know anything about them? So, yeah, I agree. I agree with the whole Alex Jones transparency thing, but you know, I don't agree with Alex Jones when he goes around and he starts trying to, like, say that people are bad. Like, he's always like, these dirt bags are trying to kill us. And I mean, yeah, I know it's bad to try to kill off the entire human race, but even then, they're trying to save the human race. They think what they're doing is saving the human race by killing everybody. And so they're not dirtbags or scumbags. They're just crazy, you know. Hitler wasn't a dirtbag or a scumbag. He was just nuts. A dirtbag or a scumbag is somebody who's just hateful and is just an asshole and just hates people, you know, and yells at you and tries to embarrass you and that kind of stuff. But if you have an agenda that you're pushing and you believe it, then that's just what you believe. So, but anyways, less extreme than that, though, and something that I really have a problem with Alex Jones. He likes to, like, say that, like, the royal family and stuff are bad. They represent stuff that's bad. I saw he favorited an anarchist who was going to lead a bunch of protests for the royal wedding. And the guy, and I actually saw the video, and the guy's like, yeah, we're going to, because the royal family, you know, represents everything that's bad. All of the despotism and the, you know, all the bad things that the English, the British Empire did and all that. But, and then he's saying that they're bad people, and that was overboard. They didn't ask to be born in the royal family. And how would you know that you wouldn't sell out and you know, play the game if you were born in that situation? Ice-T, or Vanilla Ice said it perfectly. He goes, yeah, I sold out, but anybody would have, so don't give me a hard time about it. And it's true, you know. I don't think that you should try and say that people are bad. I don't think it's necessary to say that anybody's bad ever in the history, ever. Nobody. Everybody's good. It's just that there's the crazy people and then there's the sane people. There's the stupid people and the smart people. And because if you start saying stuff is bad, people are bad, people aren't going to communicate. People aren't going to get used to communicating. They're not going to want to attack something that somebody said. They're going to want to attack the person. I mean, I get people attacking me on stuff that I say, like a single word that I say, and then they say they don't like me, and then they label me. And then I get back with them, and I go, and I try to argue a point. I try to argue what they're arguing with me, and they never get back to me because it's easier and it takes less time to just attack a person. But it's better not. It's better not to just attack people publicly and call them names and say that they're bad people. It's better to not do that at all than to do that, because when you do that, it just causes, it teaches other people to do that, and then the more people who do that, just the more bad energy and the less likely people are to actually argue. And arguing should be something that we all do. And that's what I wanted to get back to about the politicians. Yeah, we need to start electing politicians in there who like to argue and like to communicate. And we need to change our educational system so that we're always arguing and communicating. It has to be something that people love to do. Just like exercise has to be something that people love to do. I love to exercise. I really do. The only reason that I haven't been exercising is because I'm a neurotic and I was trying to I just got sucked into that whole studying thing with my project. But I love to argue. I love to exercise, and I love to argue. Arguing is fun. Nobody would argue with me. Nobody would ever. I see people attaching videos to other people, like arguing people video-wise. Nobody's ever done that with me. Well, one guy attached a video of my Fuck Jesus video, but he didn't argue with me. He just said, I don't understand why people have to say fuck God. But like, I don't think anybody would argue with me because they know that I would argue back, and they don't want to like be the first one to give up because that means that they lose. And people don't like to start arguments that they know they're going to lose. But that's fine. I don't think it's wrong to start an argument that you lose, because that means you learn something. Like if I had an argument with somebody and I ended up losing, I would be happy because it meant that I've learned something, and it's better to learn. But those are the kind of politicians that we need. But I think Alex Jones and the anarchists and these stuff, it's kind of like they're building sandcastles. You know, it's like he has all these clips of the politicians acting like retards, and he brings our attention to all these stupid bills, and then he just knocks his sandcastle down. He just loses pretty much all credibility by turning around and calling Justin Bieber a little idiot with a stupid haircut, and Lady Gaga, Lady Fufu, and she's an idiot, and you know, like people are idiots for paying attention to that. And you know, you think he'd want to think more politically and get the mainstream to follow him, even though he is becoming mainstream. But I do realize he's filling a niche, and he's like the angry ranting guy niche, and You know, if he didn't do it, somebody else would fill it up. But I think you could get more people, the mainstream people, to listen to him more if he didn't start attacking mainstream pop culture. And pop culture, I heard Lady Gaga's a New Ager, by the way. I heard she's into like symbolism and stuff. But pop culture is good. Pop culture is the glue that holds our society together. It's something that makes us feel like one big happy family. And, you know, the same goes true for the royal family. It makes having a royal family to go out to all rally behind. There are mascots. And it's our history, and everything about our history is good. I mean, sure, we have had these upper-class oligarchies abusing their power and taxing people too much. And there's lots of negative stuff about that, but people have always loved their king. You know, we have mascots for the football games. We have the prom king and queen. We have all that stuff. It's part of human nature. It's we have our movie stars who we follow, and it's same goes true with the royal family. It's not. We should only look at the positive things. I mean, we should definitely talk about the negative stuff and how to fix it and what went wrong and how to all that stuff. But we should only pay attention, you know, when we think about the royal family and stuff, of the good stuff, you know, the good stuff that kings did and the good aspects of it, to try to make us all feel like everybody's good, and the only thing that we really need to do to fix the world is just to communicate. That's really all we need. We don't need to point fingers at other people and say that they're stupid. But I do think that people in power are stupid. Yeah, we definitely should get out of that whole idea that just because somebody's like a congressman, they're like really smart and they're like really good, or just because somebody's old and rich, they're really smart. There was a video that Alex Jones showed on one of his documentaries of Ted Turner, who's like, you know, like a multi-billionaire, I think. He's got like 17 billion. I don't know how much he has, but he's rich. He owns CNN, TNT, Cartoon Network, Warner Brothers. What else? He owns like all of the media. And so, you know, one of the most powerful people in America. But there's a video of him on some show, and he's going nuts. He's like, yeah, we got to do something about this. In 40 years, we're not going to, the human race is going down. He's ranting like a drunken, like, homeless dude, conspiracy theorist, who thinks everything's going down. And, yeah, we're all going to starve to death and live like rats in the street because of overpopulation. We got to do something about it. And, you know, and it kind of reminded me when Alex Jones was saying that, you know, they have these professors up in like Ivy League schools giving speeches. Yeah, we gotta stop the population overflow. We gotta kill people. Like literally, we have to do something to kill all the people. People were like giving him standing ovations, and like people in power believe what this guy Ted Turner believes. Roll the tape.
Got to stabilize the population. When I was born, there were
so what's wrong with the population? I mean,
with too many people. That's why we have global warming. We have global warming because too many people are using too much stuff. We've got to stabilize population on a voluntary basis. Everybody in the world's got to pledge to themselves that 1 or 2 children is it. Not doing it will be catastrophic. We'll have 8 degrees. We'll be 8 degrees hotter in 30 or 40 years, and basically none of the crops will grow. Most of the people, the rest of us will be cannibals. Civilization will have broken down. What the few people who are left will be living in a failed state like Somalia or Sudan, and living conditions will be intolerable. The droughts will be so bad there'll be no more corn growing. Not doing it is suicide.
Unbelievably, when
and but the crazy thing is, this freaky thing is Ted Turner is a hippie in the rich elite group. So there's a lot of guys who are worse than him. Like he was married to Jane Fonda, and she's like a hippie chick. She was the one who protested the Vietnam War and got us to pull out of there, you know. And so Imagine what the other rich elite dudes are thinking, you know? We gotta kill all the people. Now, one thing that they don't understand, and this shows you how like rich white old people are actually got their heads so fucking far up their asses that they're like dumber than a freaking stump. They're dumber than a third grader, because it should be obvious that they're not looking. And I'll explain the analogy first. They're like riding on a wave, and they're looking at the beach, you know, and they're riding on the wave, and like those rocks.